Welcome to the Weekend Listen, the Build series segment where we discuss and recommend new music releases for you to check out. I'm your host, Kevan Kenney, and joining me today are editor of culture and content at Tidal, Adelle Platon, and music journalist, Madison Vane.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you both very much for joining us. Thanks for being here. And we're going to start with what really could be a future top 10, maybe even top 5 record on the Billboard Hot 100. It is a star-studded affair. DJ Khaled dropped his highly anticipated track, No Brainer, featuring Chance the Rapper, Quavo, and Justin Bieber. And we've got the brand new music video for you to check out.
She look like she classy. She look at her dancing. She I took her to the mansion. You stick out of the crowd, baby, it's a no-brainer. It ain't that hard to choose. Him or me, be for real, baby, it's a no-brainer. You got your mind on loose. Go hard and watch the sunrise. One night it change your whole life. Pop top, drop top, baby, it's a no-brainer. Put 'em up if you with me, yeah. In the middle.
I'm just seeing that for the first time along with you. That video is incredible.
I dare you not to get that song stuck in your head as soon as you listen to it. It's
Impossible.
like I'm the One Part 2 all over again.
Literally.
Yeah, you know, like Khaled is a hit maker himself, but then when he aligns himself with, you know, these chart-topping people, it just creates like a blockbuster hit. And I know that it's already, like, we're halfway through summer, but I can already foresee this being like a summer smash.
I think it's a super late contender, but a contender for sure. What do you think, Madison?
Yeah, I think you pointed out that song, the Demi Lovato song came out in like July 2 years ago, and then it sort of took over. So I think that we haven't really had anybody win early this year with the Song of the Summer. I'm happy to see this win. I think Justin Bieber sounds great. I like seeing that he's credited as a writer. It sounds awesome. I'm very into this song.
Yeah.
So obviously the question on everyone's minds, how does it compare to the original I'm the One?
You know what? I actually like No Brainer more than I'm the One. I know it sounds crazy, but I think it's because no matter where I went, I heard I'm the One, and I was just like, I can't escape this song. And I could see that happening with this one too. But it's a lot more fun, I think.
Definitely.
I was gonna say we should check in like a month when in the grocery store this is playing everywhere.
Right.
And we wonder which one we like more at that point. We might get very tired very quickly, but I love this song. I'm very happy to have it.
So what do you guys think about sequels? And it's a funny topic because it's not that common a place in music to do sort of the same exact, not the same song, but the same exact roster of artists. We talked before we went live back in the day. You had Yeah with Usher and Lil Jon and Ludacris, and then they came out a few years later with Lovers and Friends. We've had Rihanna and Drake do multiple songs together. Do we like this? Do we want more creativity out of our artists? What do you think?
I mean, well, if there's chemistry amongst the artists that collaborate and, you know, it's a foolproof plan, then why not continue that formula? I think Khaled looked at I'm the One and was like, you know what, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And let's just do another smash together. But yeah, I mean, like you said, with Lovers and Friends, it's different because it's not necessarily the sequel to I'm the One, and it's not necessarily a remix either, but it's just like the same cast of people who obviously have chemistry together and know how to make a great song. And like, we can't forget Assad Khaled.
Yes. Did they? Yeah, and I was gonna say, was Assad around for I'm the One, but I guess that was only a year ago.
Right.
That's crazy. It's absolutely nuts. Now, you talk about Song of the Summer. In My Feelings is currently taking the world over. BTS, the popular boy band that is also, you know, a phenomenon online, they just did it this week, so it's going bananas. What do you guys think for Song of the Summer if we're talking In My Feelings versus this new one, No Brainer?
Ooh, can I like deviate from the options that you gave me and throw out
please.
Ella Mai Boot Up?
Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
That song has been everywhere, and rightfully so. Even though it came out last year, you know, she dropped the video earlier this year, and then the song just blew up and it took over, and then that received a remix with Quavo and Nicki Minaj. Plies also did his unofficial version of it on Instagram, and T-Pain did his own version as well. So I feel like between that and My Feelings, like, it's a very close call.
You know what, I love Boot Up because growing up around this area, I grew up in New Jersey, and I feel like such a staple of a summer song is you have to hear it ringing out of cars everywhere. And that's a song where if I'm in New Jersey, if I'm in New York, I hear it coming out of every car. Do you have a pick, Madison, for Song of the Summer?
Going, even before In My Feelings, I just assumed Drake was going to have the Song of the Summer. Like, I've just ceded the title to him going into all of these. Nice for What, I thought had a really strong chance of being it. But he knows how to launch a song. I mean, having a social media challenge to go along with it. Drake Inc. is very, very alive and well. So I just kind of give him the title. I think this will probably arrive arrive a little bit late, but the song is going nowhere. It's going to be climbing, climbing, climbing.
Totally. And in closing here, we got a lot of songs to talk about on the show today, but I'd love to know your guys' opinion. What do you think DJ Khaled's greatest talent is or greatest skill is? Because I know sometimes he gets some flack, and I think unfairly at times, because, you know, it is his song, but he's not necessarily singing or performing on it. But what is his greatest talent?
He's the people connector. He gets Beyonce and Jay-Z on a song with Future. He brings these people together as well. I think he knows how to, and he also brought Rihanna and Bryson Tiller together for Wild Thoughts. So I think he plays to everybody's strengths who's around him, and then kind of, you know, creates a little puzzle piece in terms of like creating an album. And so when he thinks of different artists that might sound well together, he just puts them in a room, and then all of a sudden you have a hit.
Definitely.
I sort of agree. I think some of it must just be the persistence of when everybody else is screening his calls, he just keeps calling. Like that's got to be, it's not for nothing that he's gotten Beyonce on multiple songs. I mean, I don't think she's probably picked up her own cell phone in so long, if you thoroughly think about it. So some of it's got to be just his willingness. He was giving an interview today about how this song came together, and he said he just kept FaceTiming Justin Bieber. And before Bieber would even say hello, he would just start playing the song, and I need you on this, I need you on this. I think he deserves credit for that, for sure.
And he's been using Assad, I'm sure, having Assad as like, you know, his little assistant, helping him along the way, and executive producer of the upcoming album. I think that really helps too.
Did you guys see the commercial with Kevin Hart voicing Assad? Yeah, it's hilarious.
Hilarious.
It's amazing. All right, well, let's switch gears. Madison will love this one. We're going to switch from pop, hip-hop, whatever you're deeming DJ Khaled these days, to the world of country. It's Kenny Chesney with his 17th studio album entitled Songs for the Saints. And we've got a video to check out right here for Get Along.
Get along down the road. We got a long, long way to go. Scared to live, scared to die. We ain't perfect, but we try. Get along while we can. Always give love the upper hand. Paint a wall, learn to dance. Call your mom, buy a boat, drink a beer, sing a song, make a friend. Can't we all get along?
There you go. That's Get Along. That song already went #1, even though the album did come out today. Madison, you are our country expert. Please tell us everything we need to know about this new one from Kenny.
I mean, I just think at some point we really have to give credit to artists who are still like out there doing it. He's been headlining stadiums for a decade, which is not nothing. It's in fact something that almost every other artist will not do. And we've lost a lot of people in the last couple of years. You think about Petty, you think about Prince, people who should not still be on the road, or you think about even people like Bieber and Selena Gomez who have had to cut their tours short because they're not feeling mentally strong enough to be there. And someone who's been able to do it this long, this well, and only get bigger and bigger, I just think they deserve credit. If you are a Kenny Chesney fan, you will love this record. If you are not, you're probably not going to be converted to becoming a fan on this record. It's exactly what you want. There's a cool Lord Huron cover. He has some cool features. Ziggy Marley is on a song. It just feels good. It's great summer music, and he's out on the road right now. So if anybody's going to see him, it's worth learning a couple new songs for it.
Definitely. We just saw that video there that sort of captures the excitement of a live country show. You've been to many yourself, of course, over the years. What is it for the non-country fan in attendance here or watching at home that is so special about the country music community and live shows in general?
You know, they're not competitive. You don't have to like Rihanna or Beyonce in country. You should like everybody, and you should go to all the shows, and they do it with each other, and they all write for each other. You know, in order to become even famous in country, for the most part, you've spent 5, 6, 7 years as a songwriter for all those people who are already famous. So it just feels a little bit different from the artists, and they don't ask you to pick teams sort of from their fandoms, which feels good. And there's just something about it that screams summer. I think country is a summer genre. And so the shows are always outdoors, huge summer tours. And so I think you just always attach so many memories also with kind of that vibe. You know, having a beer like in a field, listening to music, what's better?
Totally. I was down in Nashville for the CMA Fest last year, and they described it, a lot of artists did, as a college, country music being a college. And when they get together at a CMA Fest or an award show, it's kind of like a big, you know, tailgate reunion, which is really
they
nice.
all play out almost 200 plus days a year. No other genre plays as many concerts as country. So it's hard for them to all see each other, I would imagine.
Definitely. Are you a country music fan at all, Adelle?
So, you know, I work in the hip hop and R&B space predominantly, but I do love me some Kelsey Ballerini. And like, what I really can appreciate about country music is that it's not just toe tapping music. It's like, it tells a story. You know, there's vivid anecdotes that when you listen to a song, you know, from a Brad Paisley to even sometimes Taylor Swift, it's like you can see the song play out in your mind as you listen to it.
Definitely. And you know, speaking of an artist that kind of bridges both of your worlds, Kane Brown. You ever listen to Kane Brown? He's been on the show before. He's really flirting with, you know, that hip hop R&B fusion.
Yeah, it's cool because I think there actually are a lot of similarities between hip hop and country in terms of finding a poetry in the mundane and the ordinary. It's not super high concept. It's talking about your immediate surroundings. So I think there's a very visceral connection. Kane Brown's great, and his fan connection is unreal. I mean, people go buck wild for him. It's totally insane.
I knew he was a special artist when I interviewed him for the first time in Nashville, and I interviewed a bunch of artists that week, and everyone had cowboy boots or gator boots, and he showed up with some Adidas NMDs. I was like, this guy's interesting. Yeah, one to watch for sure. All right, let's go all the way into the world of hip hop. Noriega has a new album out called 5E, and we've got a video featuring Fat Joe for the single "Don't Know" for you to check out right here.
Opposite of play fight, see slime break night, then slime break night. My wristwatch is like a brake light, and you can get it right on your gravesite. So tell me something I don't know. $50 pizza when I'm eating in Soho. I heard that you in love with the cocoa. Stuffing your nose, hitting them Zans on the pogo. You wanna hate me, then hate me. What should I do? Keep getting money. It's funny, I was just like you. Super Bowl Sunday, drink champs with the facts. Security guard told Kevin Hart to relax. Oh! Tell me something I don't know. What? Tell me something I don't know. What? Tell me something I don't know. Like when this shit drop home, give me the choke.
All right, I'm going straight to you, Adele. This is part of your extended Tidal family. You got Fat Joe on the track. What do you think of 5E?
So 5E is actually named after Nori's old apartment when he was coming up in Queens in LaFrac City. So shout out to New York hip hop. But basically what I love so much about this album is that Nori doesn't try to act like a young person in hip hop. And you know that rap is a young man's game. He's 40 years old now, and he actually stopped by the Tidal office to really explain what the album was about. And as much as he loves creating music, he knows that at his age, it's not common for people to have a 20-year-long career in hip hop, but he's been able to extend himself, whether as a host for the Drink Champs podcast, or just like his personality is so contagious that it's hard not to root for him. And so what I really love about this album is that it's a mix of different collaborations, whether it's with Pharrell or it's with Sevyn Streeter, an R&B singer, or Tory Lanez, or even like you mentioned, Fat Joe. But he plays to his strengths on this album.
Definitely. You touch on Nori's age, and I don't know if he'll love us harping on this, but he is 40 years old now.
Oh, he told me that.
For you as a hip-hop fan and a hip-hop expert at that, do you expect something different out of an MC that is 40 than an MC that is 20? Do they necessarily or inherently have to be rapping about different material?
I think it shows maturity and it shows growth. I mean, I don't expect an MC at any age to rap about the same things, maybe in the same age group, because I mean, when you're 20, you're just discovering life. You're discovering who you are as a person. When you're 40, you've gone through some things, and you're gonna let that experience seep into your music if that's the lane you choose to go in. But there are some artists who are older who sees what trends are happening right now, and then they try to jump on that wave. But I think with Nori, it's just he stayed true to who he was. He has a song called "She's Mine" that's dedicated to his wife, and usually that's not the case in hip hop. So I appreciate that.
How much did Jay's 444 change the game in terms of expectations and really the bar for a veteran MC of what we expect in terms of transparency, in terms of speaking from a position of experience and the level of wiseness, if you will? How much did that change our expectations for veteran MCs like Nori?
I think what Jay-Z does really well is not only storytelling, but he stays true to the art of rapping. He tells a story, first and foremost. And with 444, he was very vulnerable. He opened himself up. He shared stories that we probably wouldn't have never heard from him if he hadn't gone through certain things in his life. And so people really gravitated to that album because they can appreciate when someone can admit their flaws, or can share stories about their family that we may be going through in our own lives. And I think that's what really made it penetrate.
Definitely. It's an interesting time in hip-hop, because you have one side the Jays and the Noris, and even though I'll put Drake in there, these storytellers, and then you have, I don't know, not so much storytellers like a Tekashi 6ix9ine or sort of these little rappers that are new and on the scene. Where do you sort of tend to go, Madison, if you're listening to hip-hop? Do you go the younger or the older?
I definitely skew older. I mean, I was even just thinking when you were speaking that the best part about this album is that he did not find a young MC to sort of like bring in to sort of open him up to a new generation of people. I like that he can talk about things he's actually doing. Hip hop is also not often a genre that apologizes to women, and we got that a lot from Jay-Z in the last year. Like, I think that just proves why he's in the Songwriters Hall of Fame. I think that we learn a lot from him in that regard. I always skew older. I'm we're just not that young anymore.
Well, speaking of hip hop, the Chainsmokers have a new song out. And it is called Side Effects. The video is right here for you to check out.
This happens every time I try to mix decision making with one too many drinks. But who if they not?
All right, that's a little taste of the new one, Side Effects by the Chainsmokers. And the female vocalist you hear on that is Emily Warren, a longtime collaborator of the Chainsmokers. This was hyped on Instagram as your favorite summer jam, which is quite the departure from songs like Sick Boy and You Owe Me, which they released at the top of the year. Is this sort of like an abort mission and get back to what they were famous for?
I would love to say that it's that their creative energy took them in a new direction, but given that both of those earlier songs, I think the highest they went is 65 on the charts. It's definitely that they're trying to get back to what was working and making money and sort of building their brand. So yeah, I think it's just a writing of the course.
Definitely. What do you make of the song, Adele?
I mean, the thing about the Chainsmokers is that their songs are very sticky. Like, as soon as you hear them, you can hear them in the club, you can hear them in the car. With Side Effects, it is returning to the formula that worked for them. And you know what? If that makes them happy, then go for it.
Is it I mean, you're absolutely right with the stickiness of their former hits. Is this as sticky, though, to you?
To me personally, not really.
Yeah, right?
But, I mean, you know, for their fans, I'm sure it's like everything they could possibly want.
Right. It's always a balancing act with artists. You know, you want to pursue your, creative freedoms and you want to make the music that you want to make, but then you've also sort of have a public identity that fans are expecting from you. Are artists entitled to sort of like, if they're big alternative fans, the Chainsmokers, they want to make alternative music, are they entitled to go and do that, or should they probably stick to what the fans are expecting, in your opinion?
I really don't think any artist owes me anything. I think that they should create whatever they want to create. But if they want to have a big career, then they have to decide which of their own impulses they're going to follow. If they're going to follow the money or if they're going to follow a creative juice that has led them down maybe a less successful pathway. I mean, I'll follow along. You come and go from different careers all the time, whether or not you like it. You can abort mission, you can come back. I think it says a lot about the artist about whether or not they stick it out or whether or not they start going back towards what was making them money originally.
Definitely. They're in a really interesting creative space. I mean, they had this song with Emily Warren, and then I don't know if you guys saw, they had a leak this week with Juice WRLD. Did you catch that at all?
I did not.
Are you a fan of Juice WRLD? What do you make of him as a new hip-hop
He
act?
definitely has melodies, like the type of melodies that I can see why the young generation flocks to it. He's able to create like these sort of songs that aren't just solely hip-hop. It's like this melodic type of hip hop that I feel is becoming more so of a trend right now amongst the younger artists. So I feel like if that works for him, like he should keep going and doing that.
Do you think there's going to eventually be a new genre and a name for it for artists like Juice WRLD? That I was at his show in New Jersey. It might have been his first show ever earlier this year. And, you know, I've been to hip hop shows, been to rock shows. It was such a rock show vibe, you know? And the music, I mean, he has a song called Lean With Me, which, I mean, has like a really gritty, like grungy guitar for the instrumental. Do you see that becoming its own genre eventually?
Potentially. I mean, you have like the Little Uzi Verts of the world who are influenced by Marilyn Manson. You know what I mean? So again, it's like rock is also like rap in the same sense that, like, you know, people wear like the flashy clothes. They brag about a certain lifestyle, and I feel that's why rappers gravitate towards rock stars, because they are rock stars themselves.
Yeah, totally. We had Judas Priest on the show this year, and it was wild. They were talking about how much they see themselves as young musicians, as young rock stars in these new rappers. And you might not expect that, but it's kind of crazy when you draw the parallel.
Yeah, I think we've seen that obviously the young crop of rappers is the new punk rock. I mean, it's the same energy that sort of like your parents hate it. They can't believe that you're listening to it. So the whole rebellious energy definitely comes out in the young hip hop world.
100%. You know, we're 2 years removed, getting back to the Chainsmokers really quick, from their smash hit 12-week #1, Closer, featuring Halsey. It's amazing when you look back because they were the established act when that song dropped in the summer of 2016. Halsey was sort of this like unknown alternative artist. Now she's blown up. Who do you think came out better from that collab?
I mean, I'm a very particularly large Halsey fan.
Okay.
I think that she's my exact kind of pop music. There's a little bit of smear to her makeup. You know, her hair is tousled. She's not perfect. All of those things really work for me. I think she's come out more respected than the Chainsmokers have. Certainly, I think that the Chainsmokers are still commanding huge audiences and bigger billings on festival slots and all of that regard. But no, I think Halsey has set herself up for a very, very long career in terms of what she's done since then.
I'd have to also side with Team Halsey. You know, from her collaborating with her former boyfriend G-Eazy and also Big Sean, she's opened up herself to other genres, and I think that shows like her ability to adapt to any type of genre. Like her voice is, you know, so gorgeous, and it can fit on any type of beat.
Definitely. All right, well, if you are a fan of 90s R&B like I am, you are going to love this pick, courtesy of Adele. It's Van Jess, and their debut album just came out today entitled Silk Canvas, and we've got the video for Addicted for you to watch right now.
So take this crown, I'll be the throne, then put it down every type of way, yeah. What you need every season, giving you the keys you can keep on. Got me in your seat, pull me deeper, and every time we hit, I'm addicted, rolling in your trees, I'm a fiend now.
There's a little taste of Van Jess right there. Adele, I need to know everything you know about this duo because I love them.
So they are a sister duo. They spent time between Nigeria and Los Angeles. Their song that really popped last year was Easy, and it's a collaboration with like Lee 47. I just love this debut album so much because I am a 90s R&B baby. So like as soon as I heard this, it's just that nostalgia and that really sensual, sexy kind of vibe that I really crave in R&B. And you know, once I heard this album, I was like, they're gonna go far.
Totally. And you know what I love about it is it captures that vibe that I love as well, but it doesn't sound dated. This doesn't sound like a throwback. This sounds very 2018, but like with the best elements of the music we grew up listening to, you know?
Absolutely. And I mean, they have collaborations with Gold Link, you know, but not necessarily that they need collaborations just because, you know, they can do battle on their own. But yeah, I just really feel like they can morph any type of slow jam into something that's uniquely their own. And the fact that they're sisters and can really sing their hearts out, it's amazing.
Yeah, I have to say, I hadn't heard of them until we had been sending around notes for the show, and then I checked them out, and I'm obsessed with them. And I have to say, I would hope that SZA's big year last year really opens a door for them, because she broke down a ton of barriers. I mean, getting 5 Grammy nominations was, like, out of this world. So fingers crossed for all of it, but I love it. Thank you.
I know, right?
You're welcome.
Adele, put into context the state of R&B right now, because as a fan of the genre, you could kind of argue we're in a little bit of a golden age. You even mentioned some of the great artists that are making new, whether it's R&B music or alternative R&B music right now. How do you feel about the state of that genre?
You know, people say that R&B isn't what it used to be just because, you know, they think of the days of, you know, TLC and like how, you know, Missy Elliott back then. But I feel like this new generation of R&B artists are really taking this genre and making it their own. They're not afraid to experiment. They're not afraid to even flex a few bars here and there. But that's what makes it great. I'm personally a fan of rap and B. So, you know, when I hear, you know, someone like a SZA or even like an LMA, I just feel like R&B artists are really staying true to their personalities and, you know, what they want, and it comes out in the music.
Definitely. And you know what's cool about R&B is that it's not just happening in one city. You think about an artist like Black out of Atlanta, PNB Rock out of Philly, Ty, of course, doing his thing out in Cali. It's kind of like, it's healthy across the board, and you don't always see that in every genre, which is neat. Cool. All right, let's switch gears here just a little bit and talk about a new band called Jungle and their album or song, Heavy California / Cherry. And we've got the video for Happy Man for you to watch right now. All right, just to clear that up, that was Happy Man, and then 2 new songs from Jungle. If you like the sound of that, they came out today. You can check out this weekend, are Heavy California and Cherry. And Madison, tell us what's going on with Jungle.
I love Jungle. This is a funk collective from the UK. they had a hit several years ago, if anybody remembers, a song called Platoon that had like this very buzzy sort of mainstream moment, and then it was like, where'd they go? What happened? So I was thrilled to see that new music was coming out. They've done some really cool club shows in New York. They played a place called Elsewhere that's pretty deep in Brooklyn. They've done a lot of things that are just sort of like bubbling over into the surface now, and this is the rollout for their new album. And I think that we've seen something interesting the last half decade, especially when you see collectives have a moment, but they rarely get like achieve like a lasting impact. So we saw like Edward Sharpe, how big was Home for so long? And then you're like, where did you guys go? So I'm very hopeful that this crosses over. It feels good. It is obviously a lot of instruments on stage at one point. They're making this music very organically. I'm a huge supporter of jungle.
Definitely.
Thanks for putting us on, because that was very funky. I was like,
Yes,
hey,
it's very funky.
adding it to my playlist as soon as I get home.
I'm curious to ask you, why do you think collectives struggle so much breaking through? Because it does seem like there is that novelty act, and I say that with respect, like that one collective that breaks through every like 2 or 3 years, like you mentioned, Edward Sharpe. Why is it so hard for those bands to kind of stick?
I don't know if it's because we like to have the identity of like a lead singer who like will be the face of an outfit and sort of like handle all the interviews. And collectives are notoriously much more faceless. It's a rotating cast of characters. You know, that's sort of an excuse for a lot of lineup changes in some occasions. And they don't really put forward a star face, which is unfortunately, a very workable platform for people to sort of make happen. But the music is often so much more neighborhood feeling that you can sort of tell that everything came together with a lot of people. So I tend to lean that way musically, but I keep waiting for somebody to have like multiple album streak where they're like winning.
Definitely. I mean, this is an interesting conversation though, because if you go to your world, Adelle, of R&B and hip hop, you think of collectives like the Internet or Brockhampton who are having success and are becoming very, very popular. So do you think it's a genre thing? How do you feel about collectives in R&B and hip hop?
I mean, they are viewed more as a group. Well, Brockhampton is a ginormous group. There's like 15 of them, I feel like. But everyone knows. But everyone knows who the main person is. Like everyone knows Sid. But it's just like, again, it goes back to that art of collaboration and being able to, put everyone's talents in the best light as possible. So I think that's why it really works for hip hop and R&B artists too.
Definitely. And Jungle might have a radio hit. I work at an alternative radio station in New
Yes.
York, and we just added that this week. So
Fingers crossed.
yeah, exactly. To be continued. All right, let's get back to the world of hip hop and pop. This is a cool crossover track. It's Logic's new song with One Republic's Ryan Tedder. It's called One Day, and here's the video.
It's suing me. Fuck the lights and the cameras right now. It's showing me. One day, I'll be richer than I was before. One day, I'll have enough money to buy the store. One day, like Sinatra said, I'm finna do it my way. You on the road to success, I took the highway. And maybe one day I'll be wiser. 'Cause maybe one day I'll be further from here. Put all of my faith in tomorrow. Dark days keep me up all night. Only thing I know is gonna be feeling blessed like I'm in mass. Yeah, I'm coming for that ass. Game been broken for too long, so I guess I am the cast.
All right, there you go. That was Ryan Tedder from One Republic and Logic. The track is called One Day. Logic's fans are called the Rat Pack, and there's a little bit of a Vegas old school vibe on that cover art there you saw on your screen. What do you guys think of this song?
I mean, I'm hardly ever going to make an argument in public or in private that Logic is like the best rapper or like the best emerging rapper. But what I really do, I really appreciate his perspective, and I like that he's willing to come out and sort of be unapologetically positive and say sometimes things are dark, but guess what? We can have like this uplifting silver lining. I think it's something that is cool in the genre. I think it's cool just in pop in general. It's a nice sort of salve. And Ryan Tedder is a genius. I mean, often the best music you get from Ryan Tedder are collaborations or things he does on other people's work. So he has a habit of giving out his best stuff. But he's great. I like to see him work with anybody.
Definitely.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it makes me think of Ryan Tedder's like Apologize with Timbaland too. So he has like a hip hop connection that's deep rooted there in his career. But when it comes to Logic, I also side with Madison in that he's so positive, and it's just a refreshing feeling to be able to hear a Logic song and come away from it feeling like life isn't so bad after all.
Yeah, I feel like we've learned a lot with even the fandoms that surround people like XXXTentacion and things like that, that the young generation has a lot of anxiety and a lot of worry and a lot of darkness in them. And wouldn't it be great if we could give them an artist who is willing to say, I feel too, but it's going to end. We don't have to wallow in it. We can sort of work out of it. I really appreciate that about him.
Definitely. How would you describe Adele Logic's spot in the world of hip hop? Sometimes new artists come around, you kind of point to an artist of a previous generation, say, oh, you know, that was that spot, now it's occupied by this person. Have we seen a Logic before, or how would you describe Logic within?
I think he's created his own lane. Again, he has, you know, like you said, a fan base that's called the Rat Pack, but you know, it's a lot of like the younger kids, like little kids who are going to his shows and repeating every single line. Like he's bringing up kids who are probably like 5 years old and they can spit a whole Logic verse. You know, it's crazy. But again, I think it's that positivity that really attracts the younger kids, and I'm sure parents are so happy that their kids are listening to somebody that is uplifting in that way.
Absolutely. Do we know if this is like part of a larger body of work? I mean, he just dropped, I want to call it a mixtape. I don't think they were calling it an official album. Was it the Bobby Tarantino 2 recently?
Yeah, that was a mixtape.
Do we know at all? Have you guys heard anything about it, like a Logic album?
I wouldn't be surprised if he actually dropped one. You know, the guy constantly stays working. If you've ever seen the Netflix show Rapture, you can see how dedicated he is to his craft. And so he's the embodiment of never not working.
Definitely, definitely. All right, well, let's turn back the clock just a little bit. We have a song, we end, I should say, the episode each and every week with sort of not a throwback pick, but maybe something that isn't brand new, but definitely worth your ear this weekend for your listen. And this one comes from Eric Church. It's called Desperate Man. They're making coffee in that video? What are they doing?
So the whole premise is that he's taking back his music and he's sort of stealing it from his label and giving it out. So those are pellets that become vinyls, which is what he did to release his last record. Later in the video, you'll see it's people wearing the EMI, which is his record label, chasing him to sort of come back and get the music. But for his last record, he didn't tell anybody he was making it. Then he bought a vinyl pressing plant in Germany, made all the records himself, and mailed them to his fan club. So he's like launching an entirely new paradigm for how to be a country singer, and a successful one is that he does not care about radio. He's not here to play the game. He has a paying subscriber base, and he's like the coolest guy ever.
That's insane. Is he still signed to the label?
Yeah, still signed. I mean,
So
he's
it's
still making them lots of money. They're not.
That's a
they're
pretty
not
chill label.
It's working out for them on the back end, I think.
But I can totally appreciate that. I feel like 2018, you can, if you're an artist, you can deliver your music the way that you want to, and the fact that he did such a bold video like that, going against his label, and his label's like, that's cool as long as you're still making us money. That's
I would love
crazy.
to know if they saw it before it released. I have a feeling maybe not. I don't know.
Sounded like the way that guy rolls. So why should people check out Desperate Man this weekend?
I think it's very Rolling Stone-esque. I think it feels good. It rocks pretty much harder than anything in rock we're getting right now. I think Eric Church is launching what is one of the most inventive and cool careers of any genre. And he's just kicking off this album cycle. This album comes out. It's also called Desperate Man on October 6th or 5th, whichever one is that first Friday. And it's just sick. Everybody should pay attention for the rest of the fall for him.
That's awesome. All right, well, that's about it for today's episode, or this week's episode, I should say, of Weekend Listen. Just in review, we gave you a lot, so let's look back. We had DJ Khaled's new one, No Brainer, Kenny Chesney's LP titled Songs for Saints, and the track to check out there is the #1 record, Get Along. Nori's new record, 5E, which is named after his apartment, which is a very cool nod to his humble beginnings. Don't Know, featuring Fat Joe, was the song off that record. We had the Chainsmokers, Side Effects, featuring Emily Warren, Van Jess, and their new album, Silk Canvas, Jungle, with Heavy California and Cherry, Logic and Ryan Tedder with One Day, and Eric Church again in closing with Desperate Man. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.